Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Maria and today we are going to do another segment in our series Makeup 101. This segment is going to be on foundation and we're going to do it in two parts. So part one is going to be on how to choose the perfect foundation for you and part two will be on foundation application. So there's 5 different things that you want to consider when purchasing foundation. The first one is what type of foundation. The second thing is what type of finish. The third is what type of coverage do you want to go for. And the fourth is what tone is your skin. The fifth would be what shade to buy. So that seems complicated, but it's way less complicated and I will explain it. So the first thing that you want to do is when we're looking at types of foundations, there's powder foundation, there's cream, and oftentimes it'll be a cream to powder, and those two are usually in a type of compact. Then there are liquid foundations, and liquid can be super liquidy right to kind of more of a mousse-like consistency. And then there's actually spray foundations that you can get, and it would work the same way as airbrushing. You can spray it on or you can spray it onto a brush, and that's kind of a neat one, but there's not very many of those out there. So everybody's preference is different as to what type of foundation you get. Mine personally, I prefer liquids. The other thing that you'll notice, and usually it's on the bottles or it'll be on the display stand, are different finishes of foundation. So you can go from matte, which is just really flat, it's got no shine or no illumination particles. So a lot of times matte is a heavier coverage, but not always. So you can go with a matte foundation, and then there's all sorts of different types of like in-betweens. You can get more of a natural finish on your foundation, or really luminous or dewy. A lot of times if you tend to be oily people tend to go with a more matte finish, whereas dry people tend to go with a more dewy finish. And the reason being is usually a matte foundation holds up better in an oily type situation. So if you tend to get really oily in the T-zone, a lot of times what'll happen if you're wearing like a luminous foundation, they tend to be a lot more emollient seeming. So you'll get, the foundation will begin to break up during the day because of your own oil. If you're super dry, a matte finish will kind of tug at your skin, and oftentimes it'll accentuate any sort of rough patches or dry patches that you have on your skin, whereas a luminous foundation for dry people tends to it just kind of shears that out and masks it a little bit better. They tend to be a little bit more moisturizing as well. So those are kind of why you would choose one or the other. If you've got normal skin, all the options are available to you. And really the options are available to anyone, obviously, but those are some things that you might want to consider when choosing a finish for your foundation. The next thing that you're going to pay attention to is the coverage of the foundation. So coverage ranges from light, medium to full coverage. You'd go with a lighter coverage if you want just a more natural evening out. Full coverage is great for evening looks, or if you like a fuller coverage look. I tend to prefer a full coverage look just because I love makeup. So yeah, so it really varies on the person. Sometimes you'll hear the term buildable, and what buildable means is you might have a medium or light coverage foundation. You can put a layer on, let it kind of set or dry, and then do another layer, and it will build upon itself without looking cakey and thick and yucky. So if you hear the word buildable, that's what it means. Now, the two last things that you consider when choosing a foundation would be shades and tones. We'll talk about tones first. So everybody's skin has a tone. When it comes to tones, you can break it down into kind of 3 general tones that you're going to find. One is cool, and you tend to have more pink undertones in your skin. Then there's neutral, which is a mixture of pink and cool, and then warm, which has more yellow undertones. One of the ways that can help you, just if you're looking at your own skin, is, and this is just a very general guideline. If you look at your arm and you're looking at your veins, and your veins tend to look more blue, then you have a cool undertone or pink undertones to your skin. If you see a green, like if your veins look more green, it usually means that you have yellow undertones to your skin. And if you see kind of a mixture of blue and green, or you can't really discern whether it's blue or green, it could kind of be both, then usually that means that you're neutral and you have equal parts or close to equal parts of pink and yellow in your skin. So I happen to be just on the yellow side, which is really amazing because I've got such pink cheeks, but the tone of my skin overall has just a slight amount. I go a little bit over onto the yellow side, but I can definitely get away with more of a neutral foundation. So I've made a little example on this white sheet. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you were looking at this one here is yellow undertones. This would be more neutral, and this is just slightly pink. It's really hard to tell in this light, but that's my example for looking at tones. It's not the greatest example, but it's the best I can do. So the last thing that you want to look at are shades of foundations. I've done a little demo on my face so that you can see kind of how to choose the perfect shade for you. So I've got some samples here on the neck. Hopefully you can see that pretty good. So obviously this one is way too light, and you're bringing it from the cheek. So if you were gonna check a foundation on yourself, the best place to do it is on your cheek because it runs down onto your neck. Obviously our faces are attached. Isn't that good to know? Anyway. So this one is obviously too light. This one is too dark, doesn't match my neck or my face. This one is a good blend. It's a little bit light for my neck, a little bit darker than my skin, and it just blends out nicely. Like when you blend it out a bit more, you can't even see it. So we've got light, dark, and kind of really close to being perfect. So that's what you would look for when you're matching your shades. The other thing that you can do is Sephora has this awesome program where you go in and they've got this camera thing. They do it for free and they'll match your neck. They usually take a picture of your neck and a picture of your face and get the perfect tone. And they kind of, like mine, I think it's something like 2Y05. So that's your number. And then you can actually pump that into the Sephora website on the search screen, and it'll actually bring up all the foundation shades that are best for you. Now, it's not always 100% accurate, but it's a really good start. The other thing that I do is I will not purchase a foundation unless I can test it. So even drugstore brands, I've never bought a drugstore, well, I have, and I never have any luck. So to me, it's just a waste of money. So I always go to the drugstore and look around for the testers. London Drugs is really good for having testers, but now I find Walmart has some, Superstore usually has some testers. So I test the foundation first to make sure it's the right shade for me. And then of course your department stores, Sephora, places like that, they all have tons of samples for you to try. You can try them right in the store and you can have a consultant help you pick your best shade. I would really recommend going into Sephora or someplace like that and get them to help you to find your perfect shade. But if not, this is a good method. So that's essentially what you want to look for when you're choosing foundation. You're going to look at the type of foundation it is. You're going to look at the finish. You're going to look at the coverage, the tone of the foundation, and the shade to get your perfect match and the perfect foundation for you. Everybody's different, so sometimes it's a matter of trying different finishes. And honestly, like I know lots of people love high-end foundations. I haven't found high-end foundations to really perform that much different than a lot of the drugstore foundations. So I really like the Rimmel Lasting Finish. That's one of my favorites just because it's kind of got a natural finish to it. Revlon's Color Stay is good. L'Oreal Lumi is great. The L'Oreal True Match foundations are great. There's some really excellent full coverage foundations out there, such as Estee Lauder Double Wear, that gets tons of great reviews. If you're wanting something a little more natural, the Tarte brand has excellent ingredients in their products, and that's another thing that maybe you would consider. If ingredients are really important to you, you're going to want to look at that as well. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments and I will answer them. And I will also put all the information in the description bar. So hopefully that will help you in choosing. And again, if you're stressed out about it, go to Sephora, talk to a consultant, get them to match your skin. It's free. You're not obligated to buy anything there. So you can go in, try different things, get an idea of what you like. They'll even give you little samples if you want. So that's a great jumping off point if this is something that's new to you. So stay tuned very soon for part 2. In part 2, we're going to discuss the different types of tools that you can use to put on your foundation, and then I'll show you how to do that. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.